something goes wrong and the bad guys win that day and they never see their family member again. And yet my Democrat colleague repeatedly referred to our honorable ICE and CBP agents as masked thugs.
Wow. Another political showdown just exploded, and this one had the whole room frozen. A furious MAGA congressman rose to confront Ilhan Omar face to face, calling out what he described as hypocrisy and failed leadership right in the middle of the hearing. One look at his face told you he came in fed up and ready to say what millions of Americans have been thinking for years. He looked prepared to shut down every talking point and bring some hard truth back into that chamber. What happened next became the kind of moment people replay over and over. Stay right here. Like, subscribe, and share, because this exchange gets heated fast.
Even more incomprehensible, considering it comes after Trump and congressional Republicans already created an $85 billion slush fund for ICE during the last budget reconciliation process. In my district, ICE has used the money to terrorize Minnesotans, particularly our Black and brown communities, through Operation Metro Surge. We watched in horror as ICE agents murdered our neighbors, Renee Good and Alex Brady, in broad daylight. We witnessed our neighbors being snatched off the street, pulled from their homes and cars without a warrant. We saw dozens of children ripped away from their families, friends, and schools, shipped to detention centers out of state. Our communities are still recovering from that devastation caused by the federal occupation and the blatant trampling of the rights we as Americans hold dear. We cannot send this rogue and unaccountable agency another cent.
You'll hear my colleagues no doubt say, if we could just agree on some common sense reforms, we would have opened up the Department of Homeland Security. We would have been glad to work with you. But let's think about these quote unquote common sense reforms. To require this administration to get a judicial warrant to expel criminal aliens from our country. There is not a Democrat or Republican former commander-in-chief that would ever find that acceptable. Because in fact, these criminal aliens have had their day in immigration court, and they have their orders to be expelled because they are not here with cause. They are here with threat to my family and to my community and to my great state of Texas and to this beloved country of ours, and it's unacceptable. But they would effectively stop all deportations. But we had an election after 4 years of lawlessness and chaos at the southern border, crime criminals, and all kinds of criminal elements and drugs that killed more people than the entire Vietnam War in 1 year. And this president was elected to restore law and order, rule of law in this great civil society of ours. It's been an embarrassment for those 4 years, and he's done it, and that's what the people sent us here to do. That's the mandate they gave us, along with unified Republican leadership. But there's been one wall of obstruction after another for this president and this administration. And that's one example of their ridiculous, absurd, unserious demands. The other one is, and I heard this at the Rules Committee, my friend, and I couldn't believe my ears. They called our law enforcement agents who risk their lives to keep us safe. Their families pray and wait for their mom or dad to come home, wondering if something goes wrong and the bad guys win that day and they never see their family member again. And yet my Democrat colleague repeatedly referred to our honorable ICE and CBP agents as masked thugs. When evil is called good and good is called evil. You remember that quote? You remember that admonition? These are the days. Mr. Speaker, we've given 16 chances and all opportunities to vote to turn this government of the people back on and support our ICE and CBP agents, to protect our ports by funding our guardsmen, to protect the CISA agents, to protect our critical infrastructure while cyber attacks are on the rise, and to resource our FEMA agency to be ready to respond to our citizens in a natural disaster. 16 times they said no. No. And here we are. Demasking our agents, calling them masked thugs. 8,000% increase, Mr. Speaker, in death threats to these gentlemen and gentle lady who wear the badge, who wear the uniform, who protect the thin blue line. 1,300% increase in assaults. 3,200% increase in vehicular assaults. We know who they are. We have made great effort to identify each agent so they would be held accountable if they did anything illegal or inappropriate. But we have cartel members who have bounties of tens of thousands of dollars on their heads. And we have masked, leftist, radical, violent folks who are assaulting them in the streets while they're trying to do their dangerous job. You want to know why we're here, Mr. Speaker? You want to know why we're here, American people?
You knew this was about to get serious before he even said a word. The second he leaned in to speak, the whole atmosphere in that room changed. What started like another routine hearing suddenly turned into a full-blown confrontation as he went straight at Ilhan Omar with zero hesitation. What made it so gripping was the intensity behind every word. He wasn't there to play nice or trade polished talking points. He came armed with the kind of frustration millions of Americans feel over border chaos, inflation, and leaders they believe have lost touch with everyday reality. Every line felt sharp, deliberate, and aimed to hit home. You could also feel everyone in the room paying closer attention because this had become bigger than just two lawmakers arguing. It was a direct clash of values, priorities, and two completely different ideas of where the country should be heading. And while Omar has handled countless political attacks before, this exchange carried a different weight. The tone was harder, the pressure was stronger, and there was no mistaking the tension building with every second. That's why moments like this explode online. It wasn't just another hearing clip. It felt like a boiling point, where someone said what a lot of viewers believe has gone unsaid for far too long.